Hi there. Good to see you today. My name is Derek, Mr. D, as my students call me. Just wanted to spend some time and tell you about how to help our kids be problem solvers. When I was in college, I was preparing for my piano recital, and it was a long process. I had to memorize one song that was about 27 pages long. So it took me months and months and months to get it. And at one point, I became so frustrated that I literally like took my hands and banged down on the keyboard really hard out of frustration. And my teacher happened to be walking by, and she came in and talked to me and just helped me with my mindset or my way of thinking about how I was practicing, and I needed to take a break and think differently. Piano is a long, more of a marathon journey. We look at piano as not something that can just happen in a week, but it's something that your kid over time invests in themselves. It's also different than like soccer or karate, where kids go and they are part of a team, they show up every week and they are part of a group. This is a one-on-one self-progressing thing to learn a musical instrument. And sometimes our mindset can be really um, difficult at times and help us to we get kind of stuck with that, especially kids. They don't know how to problem solve very well. So I want to walk you through some concepts that I've recently come across. There's a book by a lady named Carol Dweck, and it's called Mindset. And these are some concepts from that book. I wanted to specifically apply them to piano and help us be able to teach our kids some of these things. So this is called A Parent's Guide to Flipping the Script. Our kids need help with their mental processes and helping them to think correctly. So we're just going to call this flipping the script. So I'm going to go over 8 ideas that we can share with our piano students as they're practicing to help them succeed. The first thing that we're going to talk about is when a child is thinking, I made so many mistakes. So this could happen after a recital. I have a recital a couple of times a year. I do a fall concert and then a spring recital. And a lot of times kids will walk away feeling defeated if they made mistakes. So when they're thinking that and when they verbalize that, help them by changing that into the phrase, I'm still learning. So if they say, I made so many mistakes, and just say, you know what, that's okay, you're still learning. And you could say also, what do you think that mistake taught you? So turn it into a learning experience. So yeah, you made a mistake. We make mistakes all the time. What did that mistake teach you for the next time? So that helps them to flip the script in their mind. The second one is, this often happens in sibling sets. So I teach a lot of families that have siblings, and the competitive nature of kids can come in, especially here. So when a child is thinking they're ahead of me and they feel discouraged by that, maybe they have an older brother or sister that is taking lessons and they feel like they're just better than them and they can never catch up. Then instead of thinking that, have them think or try this. What can I celebrate? What have you accomplished in your piano in the last 3 to 6 months that you can celebrate? Maybe you've accomplished like a tricky rhythm. Maybe you've accomplished a song that you didn't think you could do. And so as a parent, it's really important to say, you both have something to celebrate. I'm not concerned about who's ahead in this thing. We're not in a competition. I care that you are both trying hard and progressing. So if you are a parent that has siblings taking lessons, be sure to include this in some of your conversations with your kids. Number 3, this is too much to practice. And so I, as a teacher, try to gauge how much is uh, good to have on a kid's plate in the practice realm. But sometimes they'll just feel overwhelmed. Maybe they have other things going on in life, like they have a ton of homework. Maybe they haven't had a lot of time to practice because of you guys have a lot of family things going on, which is understandable. So help them to divide and to think into dividing things into smaller chunks. So instead of thinking this is too much to practice, try this. Let's see what I can do in 15 minutes. And so give them a manageable time to sit down at the piano, maybe while you're cooking dinner, something like that. and set a timer and say to them, hey, we're going to set a timer and I want you to show me what you can do after you practice for just 15 minutes. And so help them to think, you know what, let me just take this in a smaller chunk. And maybe I just accomplished a small part of that, but that's okay. So that's a way to think. Number 4, when thinking practice makes me feel frustrated because I don't get it. So a lot of times in lessons, we'll go over a new concept, and because lesson time is limited, 30, 45, 60 minutes a week, I'll introduce an idea that maybe a kid or a student doesn't necessarily remember or understand during the week. So if your child gets frustrated by that, that they don't understand the concept or the notes or what's going on, have them try this. Say, I'll circle everything I don't understand. So if they run into a problem spot, it doesn't become this overarching like colossal meltdown that I can't understand. Just have them focus in on just the area that they're having a problem with. And then what you could say to them is, can you teach me your piece? So if you can make a student become the teacher and explain what's going on, a lot of times that helps the brain to process what's going on. And then you could say to them, let's circle the parts you don't understand, and then we'll ask your teacher about it next week at your lesson. So I really love it when I see students come and they have circled sections of their music that they didn't quite get during the week, and we can go over that. And it takes a big problem and makes it into a much smaller one. Number 5 is when your student is thinking, I can't play this piece, we're going to flip the script, change their mindset to, I haven't learned this yet. So it becomes, instead of a frustration of something that's just a dead end road, like I can't play this piece, they're saying, I have not learned this yet, but there's hope that they can grow. And then you can say as a parent, you can play this, you just haven't learned how to do it yet. So let's try it slower and let's get used to something new. So a lot of times students will blow through a piece like, and they'll try to play it super fast and they get really frustrated that they can't play it. So an approach is to take it and slow it way down and just play it as fast as you can play it well and comfortably and correct, and then slowly build your speed over time. Take it as slow as you need to. Start off in first gear. Don't always wind up straight to fifth gear, and that way you're learning a piece slowly. The next concept is when your child is thinking, I'm not good at this part. So maybe they hit a section of the song that is more challenging. Maybe they learn the first section, the second section presents this new um, problem or new challenge. You could say, I'm still learning how to play this correctly. So these are so valuable if you can get them to actually say these out loud. We have Aubrey and I have 2 little boys right now, and we just call it molding and shaping. So we're constantly taking their words that they say and helping them to word what they're saying correctly. And the words that come out of their mouth reshape what's going on in their brain. Every time they say no, or I don't want to do that, you say no, ma'am, or yes, sir. And eventually that becomes a new thought process. You're actually, it's like going down a hill of new snow and you're creating a pathway of a new mindset. And so that's really helpful for students to say, instead of just the negative, I'm not good at this part, help them to say, I'm still learning how to play this correctly. And you as a parent can say, you're still learning it. This is a process. And so it teaches kids determination. It teaches them how to stick with something that's difficult. And as we know as adults, that's going to help them later in life when they're in college and they're trying to finish a huge term paper, or they're in their job and they have a massive project due. It teaches determination, teaches stick-to-itness. And so that's one of the side benefits to me of piano. The 7th thing is when a student just, in general, they just say, I'm bad at piano. So this usually hits when a student has a long course of time where they don't really have the motivation to practice and they're getting frustrated and they feel like they want to quit. Some students will just say, I personally am bad at piano. And a way to change that wording is to say, I'm learning a new skill. And so instead of saying just I'm bad, you can just say you aren't good or bad. You're just learning and growing into this. This is a new skill. It's tough. It's challenging, but I believe that you can stick with it and you can learn how to do this. The eighth concept, this is the last one. When thinking, this is too hard for me, instead of saying that, have them say, I'm stretching myself in a new way. And so we don't want to say that it's not hard, because it is a process that's challenging. Learning a musical instrument is difficult. It's a process that you have to give yourself to hours after hour after hour to really become good at. And so what you could say is, I agree with you, this is hard. Can you tell me specifically what's hard about it? And so take this overarching idea, this is too hard for me, and ask them, what part are you struggling with? Because sometimes it'll just be literally one little part of the song that they're having a tough time with. And then they want to just throw out the baby with the bathwater and just say, this is too hard. And so help them focus in on that one section. If you don't understand it as a parent, then circle it and I will help you the next time that we have lessons. So we as parents are constantly attempting to help our kids see better, to think better. We have to constantly do that as adults, right? We are changing our mindset all the time, and thinking in the right way, and then that'll help our actions become better. So hope you learned a little bit this today through this, and feel free to ask me if you have any questions. Visit hudsonpianostudio.com, and happy to talk to you there. Have a great day. See ya.